Not the only one, Sam Smith. Now, our first guest today is Ruth Richardson, Programme Manager for Bristol Ageing Better Partnership, which is led by Age UK Bristol. She helped secure a £5.9 million big lottery fund for projects to tackle isolation and loneliness later in life in Bristol. Well, welcome, Ruth. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
You've got these great animations out now by Aardman. How do they come about?
Well, we've been very fortunate to have Aardman in our Bristol Ageing Better Partnership for over 2 years now. They are an excellent medium of getting messages across, but they're also really dedicated not just to our cause of reducing loneliness, but to Bristol and to show how wonderful this city is.
Why do you think we've got such a problem of loneliness in 2015?
It is a sad testament that even at this time of life there are so many lonely older people. We estimate that there's 11,000 alone in Bristol who are lonely and isolated. And although loneliness isn't just something that happens in later life, people can be lonely at any time of their existence. Often there's factors that happen to you in later life that can increase this, and that could include losing a partner. Retirement is a big change for people and can lead to feelings of isolation and loneliness.
Yeah, because you don't have your colleagues, you don't have people to chat to anymore.
Exactly, it's a very big life change. Your social networks can shrink quite rapidly upon retirement.
Why do you think it's such a taboo subject?
I think people find it very difficult to talk about loneliness because there's a commonly held belief that if you're lonely, you've almost failed at life somehow if you don't have those friends around you or those networks. When in reality, loneliness is so subjective. You may have many friends around you and still feel lonely. On the other hand, you may have one or two people close to you, but that's enough. It differs for every person, their experience of it.
And it's quite a shame, you know, people feel shamed. And I don't quite know how we get to that, you know, of all the feelings. And as you said about bereavement, you know, there's a shame. We should get over it. Is often the case, isn't it? Why aren't you better now? A year on, and actually, it takes a long time.
It does indeed, and you know, there's an argument that you may never be over it completely. It's just there to find, you know, new things in your life, new experiences, or to try and bolster those other networks around you so that you don't feel so alone. And we're here to say that you may feel lonely now, but that can change. Not only are there support and services available to you that can help, but also you don't have to feel alone forever. And it's not something that just happens to you in later life. There's a lot of negative stereotypes around ageing, and being lonely is one of them, but we're here to say that it doesn't have to be that way.
No. How do you train people to be compassionate and respectful of age? Because we're not great in this country about respecting the wisdom of our elders and such. How does the training work then?
I think it will take time. I think ageist attitudes are quite entrenched in our society, unfortunately, and I think there's lots of different ways that we can try and break down those barriers. One is to promote positive images of ageing. You know, you were talking about women's fashion in later life, and why should people be consigned to wear cardigans and, you know, long dresses in later life? It should be a time of enjoyment.
Unless it's a caftan and you're wafting.
Well, and why not? Exactly. So there's things about that, the media and images being more positive, but also I think if you bring together generations more, there's such a divide at the minute between younger generations and older generations, so the attitudes towards each don't necessarily reflect what it's like in reality. So I think the more we can bring age groups, all age groups together, the less likely we'll continue to have these stereotypes.
Because there's a lot of children who don't have grandparents, and there's a whole thing about getting grandparents, adopting grandparents. Is that something you might advocate or set up?
One of our projects is actually about intergenerational activity, as we call it. We're calling it Schools for All Ages, and it's about older people in the community seeing schools as a natural hub to go and volunteer, perhaps helping children with lower literacy skills with their reading, going into history lessons, helping with cooking. That idea that schools are so central to communities, but why are they not places for older people at the minute? Let's change that. Perhaps the local care home could come and visit, and vice versa.
Yeah, and also schools need the help. because they need people volunteering at schools, don't they? How can people help? If people want to volunteer and join you, what do they have to do?
Well, we have 140 partnerships in our Bristol Ageing Better partnership. So we are very lucky to have loads and loads of charities that are working with older people. For Bristol Ageing Better itself, we have a group of community researchers, which are older people who have no experience of doing research or evaluation, but have received training from University of the West of England. And they're going to be helping us over the course of the programme to realise the impact, find out what are we actually doing that's helping older people. And so if anyone's interested, they can join that. We've got an information day coming up in December, and there's more information about that on the Bristol Ageing Better website.
When's the day and where is it?
It's early December, and it's at Age UK Bristol, which is on Victoria Street. And we can put information out on our website. We'll link it through Twitter as well.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. It's really interesting to talk to you. That was Ruth Richardson, the Programme Manager for Bristol Ageing Better.